Okay, good afternoon and welcome to a review of Harem, Labyrinth, in Another World. We're on episode 7, by the way, and I gotta say this. I gotta say this with a lot of passion. This is me going loud because I gotta say this. What I'm gonna say will shock you. What I gotta say will be like one of the most talked about shows, and I will debate this show. You can argue me back and forth when I say this. Harem, Labyrinth, in Another World is an S tier show. If you were to ask me to make a tier list for the summer 2022 shows, I guarantee you I'll put that on S tier. That's just me. I'll put this on an S tier show. And Roxanne, I'm moving her up to a top 3 best girl of the summer. Summer girl of 2022. For the last 6 episodes, this show has been one of those like isekai shows where you gotta sit down and watch. And to me, of all the isekais right now, I'm sorry to say, this is top tier. And then the fan service, the gloriness of Roxanne, and the blood and the battles we seen, I kind of look deep into this show. I look deep into this, and I said, looking back on this, Michiro is one of the few guys, let's be honest, Michiro is one of the few guys in an isekai anime to buy a slave girl and then just duel with them. He's one of the few. Not duel with them on a regular basis, I'm not talking about that. I mean like using them to help them out in battles. He's one of the few guys. So now we get to episode 7. Oh, and by the way, I took notes while watching this. Here we go. I want to show y'all something before I do my review. You see this show? A goat show. Redo of Healer is a goat. And if you don't believe me, go and watch. I did a video called Redo of Healer is a masterpiece. And it is. This right here is the freaking goat. Okay. And then I looked at this. High School DxD, Kiss X Sis, The World's End Harem, Prison School, Interspecies Reviewers. And then you add Harem Labyrinth, Another World. You know what they have in common? They're most cultured shows. Those are the most cultured shows in anime. And looking at this, it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, Redo of Healer just passed the torch to Harem Labyrinth in Another World. It's like passing the torch, like you're the next. But other than that, let's get right to it. Anyway, but that's my debate. But anyway, let's get right to the review of episode 7, because episode 7 did a lot of things. Okay, now, so big old exposition. The bandits are coming, so Roxanne and Michiro are getting ready. They're getting ready to stop the bandits, Now, Michiro wanted to try new power, so he tried this equivalent exchange. Full Metal Alchemist vibe, if you know what I mean. Now, the thing is, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was waiting for the uncensored version to come out. And I just finished the uncensored version. That's why I'm a little louder. But anyway, the way how they showed it, we didn't see all of it. What he did, the equivalent exchange, we didn't see it. I mean, it was terribly terrible. Like, it was terrible because I wanted to see it, like, what really happened. Like, I had to click the censored version to see if they actually showed it. But the uncensored version had this black screen around it. You couldn't really see all of what happened, but if you read it, you could see they got rid of that blood, that boil. His body was boiling up like a boomer from Left 4 Dead, and blowed up again like a boomer from Left 4 Dead. Picture that. And he wanted to see it. Now we're talking about, remember, equivalent exchange. Think about Full Metal Alchemist. So what he did was he gave up all his MP. He was passed the fuck out. He was going to die. He lucky he didn't use his HP. He uses most of his MP. But again, he used equivalent exchange for that matter. That's what he did. Now, and then, he got the reward for doing that, but he tried to keep it a secret. Didn't want to tell him what really happened. So it's there. But now it's to recover all his MP. So they go on battling into the labyrinth again. Even though when he sacrificed MP, Michiro did try, he's learning new things. And that's what I like about this show. It's not just about the finisher, but the development of Michiro trying to improve himself, to build up his harem, and to prove that he's not a worthless guy. So he uses magic, and he's learning. He's using firebolt, firewall, fire spin. He's using all these other elements to get better. Kind of like how Belle is from how Don Machi, is to run to pick up girls in a dungeon. I mean, he already got the mermaid. But my point is, he's learning new magic with his fire spells. And he's like, oh, he's gonna more. So he's learning water, he's using wind, he's using sand like some freaking Avatar. Then he's trying to be the next Avatar. I mean, he's using all these different magics or whatnot. He also learned the importance of, trying to get into other labyrinth and learn more about the other culture, like the Imperial City, learn more. And to do that, he had to leave Roxanne behind, which is sad. I mean, most people are like, oh, you have to leave your party just to see this other city? That's too, man. But everybody's waiting for that dwarf to come out. Everybody's waiting for her to come out with the giant hammer. I'm pretty sure she's gonna come. I think by this next week she'll show up. Maybe. She'll maybe show up. But this show did not end it on a bad way, guys. It ended it on a good way. I'm clapping hard now because damn well this show ended in a good way. And by that good way, I'm talking about the fan service smashing again. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. It's so you know how it is. It's the wash, rinse, repeat process here, guys. Michiro and Roxanne get ready. They go into the dungeon. They go into the labyrinth, facing off all trees and all goblins like they did. Props for them facing a giant bug. They fought a giant bug really well. And after doing all of that, they go home. They go to a hotel room and start fucking. And they do it again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. And that's what they do. So, after this episode from beginning to middle, we've seen Michiro and Roxanne working together, learning new magic, learning how to use the equivalent exchange when necessary, meeting new cities, going to new cities to learn more, and using the thread and salt or anything like that. After learning all those things, we get right to the ending. And you gotta love it. You gotta love the ending. Forget the censored version. Go watch the uncensored. So the uncensored version, words cannot describe how I feel. This is why it's an S-tier show. The whole washing each other's back is really good. And the fondleness of touching Roxanne boobs every single time. We wish we was him. Michiro is one of those male characters in a harem anime we wish we were him. How many of you guys wish you was him? I'm pretty sure everyone has been in those situations when you watch a harem anime and you look at this guy and the way he does things to these people, you're like, I wish I was him. I really am. So, after he washing Roxanne's back, he fondled her boobs and everything, and then they start having sex again. But here's where it gets interesting. They doing it doggy style, and it makes sense because she's a wolfkin. So it makes sense. It makes sense. She's a wolfkin. She's a beast warrior. What do you want to do? Do doggy style. See, because she's a wolfkin. Okay. But if you look, then it's the dialogue. That is really good. And I tell you right now, after this episode, I guarantee you, how much you want to bet that's going to be in every website that you're going to look up. Especially Rule 34. I'm pretty sure this is going to be on Rule 34. It ain't even a question. Not even debatable. I'm sorry. I'm going in. But like I said, it's going to be one of those things where you're like, oh, lotion, let's go wash this shit. But my point is, that's going to be there. And in that moment, when they were doing it, Roxanne was like, Master, you can bleep a little harder. And it's like, wow. And what's funny about it is that it didn't say beep, that. She said the entire thing. In the censored version, she'll say beep. It'll say beep. But in this one, it didn't. But we all know what she says while they were fucking. He's like, Master, you can fuck a little harder. And he did. So he did. But, this is what Harem, Labyrinth, Another World means something. It's funny as hell. I mean, not funny like, ha, ha, ha. What I mean funny is that they don't leave us hanging. This is one of those shows that don't leave us hanging, man. And like I said before, this is an S-tier show. But overall, episode 7 is really good. I mean, yeah, the blood scene that we didn't get is terrible. Like, we didn't get to see the explosion that he get. It was terrible. I don't think they want to. I think they, even in the uncensored version, they didn't show us the guts and all that being exploded. I mean, you gotta have to read that chapter to see. But they didn't leave us hanging with them doing it. You know what I mean? As long as they kept that there, I'm happy, and I'm pretty sure y'all will. So I look forward for next week's episode of it. I mean, next week's episode, I hope they're gonna add the dwarf girl. I really hope they add her, the blacksmith. Let's see if they add her and other ways along the way. I mean, we're in episode 7. We're close towards the ending, but I hope it doesn't leave us hanging. We'll see how this goes. So I look forward for next week's episode of it, and I'm sure you will.